everybody, we're coming to you live from Crumsville, Pennsylvania. Figured we'd hop on. I got an upcoming event I want to tell you guys about, tell you what I've been up to, and some current events, and also wanted to do some stream testing. So right now I'm streaming at 1080, which I haven't done before in Prism Live Studio. So I'm trying to see how well that comes out and whether or not the hotspot can handle it. But here's the infamous Crumsville Blinky, which as you can see is going to be replaced soon with traffic lights, which is unfortunate, but I think it's necessary. What do you think, Dad?
It seems inevitable. Civilization is on the march. More people, more traffic.
Unfortunately, that's a very dangerous intersection with the amount of truck traffic it gets now. And they're looking at trying to build more warehouses, which would only make the traffic worse.
Yeah, the plague of the warehouses. We are unfortunately in a prime location for that.
Yeah, it's a shame because it's destroying beautiful farmland. Alright, so I'm going to talk about the upcoming event. We're members of Lions for Liberty. If you recall, last year we helped them out with covering a few events for them, including the big Unite PA rally at Bloomsburg last year, which was part of the Pennsylvania Patriot Coalition. And then we also covered the Save Our Nation conference in October, which was an all-day affair. That was a lot of fun. There was also an election integrity dinner that night. That was also a lot of fun. It was one really long day. So for Lions for Liberty, they're having an upcoming event. It's called Science Uncensored. It's on June 9th at 12 p.m. It's in Grantville, Pennsylvania. It's a hotel out near Hershey, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. They're going to be having Dr. Peter McCullough speak, attorney Tom Renz, and Steve Kirsch. You can register for the event at lionsforliberty.com. Again, that's lionsforliberty.com. And then you can sign up for your tickets. There are multiple options for tickets. They have VIP tickets, which allow you to get there early, so you have a chance to meet the presenters, which is really, really cool because we actually had this event last year, and you and I had the chance of getting to meet Dr. Peter McCullough, which was really, really cool because we consider him one of the heroes in the last few years. I just remember you were like, Gwen, turn around, turn around.
Yeah.
And there he was. So that was really cool. I got pictures with Steve Kirsch last year, attorney Tom Renz, McCullough, and Brian Artis was also a guest last year. Attorney Tom Renz was a surprise last year. We didn't know he was going to be there. But
Yeah, we didn't know I guess his schedule was such he wasn't sure he was going to get there.
yeah. They had all been testifying at the House, for COVID-related. Yeah, good correction there.
So we're on Old 22 East, by the way. Heading towards Allentown.
But yeah, if you want to WYN, that'll allow you to save 10% off on all your tickets, which is awesome. So thank you so much for Lions for Liberty for giving me that code. I do want to have a disclaimer. I do not make any money by sharing this discount code with anybody, so feel free to share it with your friends who are interested in attending the event. If you're wondering how much tickets cost, roughly early bird is for VIP is $39, plus you have to pay the Eventbrite fees. If you want to do general admission, they're $20 plus the fees. And then if you want to do, if you don't get the early bird pricing, then VIP is $49 plus fees, and general is $30 plus fees.
Do we know what those fees are?
Those fees are Eventbrite fees, so it's all based on the price. So for example, early bird VIP, it's $39 plus $4.45. It's because of using Eventbrite as the service, they take a cut. I'm not sure the specific amount. I'd have to figure out the math.
Yeah.
But make sure you bring your ID, because your ID has to match your ticket in order to get into the door. That's important. I'm just looking up for the address right here. Let's see.
I guess there's no way to avoid the fees, is there?
You can actually. If you'd like to sign up to become a member for Lions for Liberty, you can do so, and you can also send a check that way. That's how we are RSVP'd for the event. We mailed the check after signing up.
Really? They take checks?
Yep, they'll take checks, and then you can avoid paying Eventbrite the fees, which is fantastic.
I'm starting to have a renewed affection for checks with all the digital surveillance and the digital currencies they want to roll out. I want to try to do what I can to fight that.
I agree completely. So in order to get the discount that way for the check, you have to email events@lionsforliberty.com, letting them know that you've registered on their website as a member, and then you can get 15% off that way.
Did they explain that on their site?
It's all on their website.
Oh, good.
So you can mail your check for the total minus the discount to Lions for Liberty Association, which is abbreviated as ASSN, P.O. Box 10260, State College, PA 16805. You also will need to include your email address and number of each ticket type that you'd like to order, and those discounts are only good till April 30th. But if you prefer to do it online, you can use my discount code, which is Gwen, all capital letters, GWIN, to save 10% off, or you can do it this way for 15% off by mailing a check. There's also group discounts available, so like if you have a group that has 8 or more people, you can get discounts for your group at events@lionsforliberty.com. You'll get a special code, which is fantastic. If you'd like to have a table there, if you're a grassroots group or you want to have a table at this event, you can sponsor a table. Again, you email events@lionsforliberty.com. They have different price ranges. A silver table is $250+. You can get a table, mentions from the stage, a logo in the presentation. A gold table is $1,500 or more. You get a table, mentioned from the stage, logo and presentation, and promotional pieces that lead up to the event. So if you want to do that, reach out to Ken. What's really exciting is Lions for Liberty is going to be debuting their new platform that's going to help combat censorship and promote competing narratives that often get censored. So that's going to be an awesome way to break the narrative in Pennsylvania. So attendees will be given the early opportunity to contribute to this new platform. So that's exciting.
Oh, the flowers are in bloom now up here.
Do the wipers so we can see them better. Yeah, sorry the wipers are kind of sucky, but the yards up here have these most gorgeous purple and pink flowers, and they just started blooming in the last week. They've been starting to creep out, so that's really exciting. It looks like it's a little early yet for them.
Yeah, there's some more in this yard. I know you can't see a lot of it on the side of the view there, though, but that is pretty neat.
Yeah, it's really
I always
exciting.
look forward to that every spring. It's neat that they've kept their lawns in a way that those.
They keep coming back.
Yeah, they don't. I'm guessing they don't spray any nasty chemicals on their lawn. So.
No, and also because otherwise you lose the seeds.
Yeah.
So if you're wondering how long is this event, it's from noon to 5 p.m. So it is a long event. It is a Friday. So if you have work, you may have to take off from work. The first hour, they say, is going to be for networking and tabling. The location's at the Holiday Inn Hershey-Harrisburg, which is on 604 Station Road, Grantville, PA.
So you can come an hour early to the event?
The event is from noon to 5. It says networking and tabling is for the first hour.
Yeah, that's probably worthwhile because you meet a lot of really good people that you can relate to at these events.
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
It's kind of a affirming experience to talk to people who share your views to a large extent.
And it also allows you to meet other grassroots groups, and specifically in Pennsylvania. If you're in Pennsylvania, you can meet other groups. Like I've never meeting Children's Health Defense Pennsylvania last year, so now I get their emails. I didn't know about them before.
I can only hope that other states are able to do things like this.
Yeah.
I know the location is fairly easy to get to. It's a hotel right off the interstate interchange. It's Interstate 81. Exit 80, I was told. Exit 80 on Interstate 81 in Pennsylvania. So it's fairly well accessible to anybody in the eastern part of the state.
If you're looking to travel to attend the event, we do have a discount code for lodging. So you can make reservations at the hotel that's hosting the event using discount code L as in lion, the number 4, and then another L as in lion. You'll get a rate of $149 a night. I don't know what their going rate is, but apparently that's a deal. To me, that sounds expensive, but it all depends on your point of view.
Right. Well, the event is your earliest is noon, so
Yeah.
you got options to find other lodging further out that might be less expensive, and then maybe drive a couple of hours in the morning to the event. So
What is he carrying? It's really tall.
some kind of
Farm equipment?
yeah, I guess so. I'm not sure.
Interesting.
That's what it looked like conveyor belt kind of thing, where you could convey it up into the body of a truck.
Yeah,
Or a wagon.
Sorry for the distraction. I was just like, what is that? Look at the cloud bank right now. Like, it looks really interesting with the green lushness of the ground and the trees, and then you got that dark band, and then you get these puffy clouds. It looks really cool.
I gotta make a side trip up here. I gotta mail some stuff.
Oh yeah, good point.
I gotta put some stamps on these envelopes and seal them up.
Oh, you didn't seal them?
I didn't do anything.
Oh, I hate licking envelopes.
Oh, those I don't think you have to.
You do.
Oh,
You brought the kind that you have to lick them.
I'll trade you. You do stamps and I'll do the dirty work.
Deal. I just don't like glue. It tastes gross.
Yummy flavored glue.
Oh, we get to use my cool tulip stamps. I should take a picture of it before I
Give me some envelopes to work on.
Yeah, give me a second. I want to take a picture of the stamps.
I always like this stretch of Old 22. This hasn't changed much in 50 years. I just remember these fields were here. Other than this little station that we just passed on the right, there's been no development in this area.
Yeah, it'll be sad when they develop it.
I remember my dad taking me for a ride out this way, and we were coming back. I don't remember the car specifically, but it had an overheating issue, and I guess we just got outside of Fogelsville up here, and we pulled over, and we went to one of the local houses, and we were able to get some water. And we got back to the car, and somebody managed to hit us.
Oh no.
And there was hardly any traffic on this road back then.
That's awful.
Yeah, I wasn't very old, because I don't really remember too much about it, other than we pulled over and had to get water.
At least you guys weren't in the car when they hit you.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was a real minor thing or what the deal was.
Alright, I think this is the last one. Nope, there's one more. This one I don't think needs a stamp though.
That one doesn't need a stamp.
Yeah. Oh, just a reminder, guys. Tax day's coming up fast and furious. If you haven't mailed your taxes,
Yeah, that's part of what I'm doing here. Actually.
just making sure the stamps are on good. Got these gorgeous tulips.
Get your taxes in. Well, you have a couple extra days because of the weekend.
Yeah, I believe they're due on Tuesday for the, or at least normally for the state and federal. I don't know about local. At least for PA.
Yeah, I don't know either. Oh, Saturday 1 p.m. We missed it already.
Do you want to go to Hellertown?
It doesn't really matter, to be honest with you.
Do you want me to tape that one?
No, that one I don't care so much.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
there's-
whatever you want to do then.
No, I just put it in here. It'll go out on Monday, which is fine.
It's better than putting it in our mailbox where it could get rained on. 'Cause our mailbox got broken. Was that a plow that damaged our mailbox and that's why it was broken? I just don't remember that.
I think the hinge rusted on that one.
Okay. I know one of them got taken out by the plow the one year.
Oh, well, yeah, it gets knocked over by the plow.
Yeah. This past year we didn't have any plowing or shoveling of snow, which was crazy.
I thought they did plow our road once.
Well, yeah, they did, but we didn't have to plow is what I meant. Hey, Jeremy, how's it going? Jeremy says, hi, Gwenny and Dad.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, so the Lions for Liberty event coming up on June 9th is going to be really nice. It's about, medical freedom, fighting tyranny. If you took the shots and you had issues, they're going to talk about possible treatment options that may work for you. They're going to talk about the WHO accords that are coming up that are being voted on in regards to personal liberty, emergency response, and national sovereignty. About current protocols, if you need to have treatment for COVID or not. And then if you think you're hurt by the shots, what you can do about it. talking about the childhood immunization schedule, how to have informed consent and preserve our medical freedom. And like I said, you get a really cool opportunity to see the new platform that they're releasing to help fight the censorship, which is really cool. I know a little bit about that, but I'm not at liberty to say.
Yeah, I don't really know. You haven't told me that much about it either, so.
Jeremy says, are we going to a game? No, we're not. Actually, we're heading to New Jersey this time for some work-related stuff for my dad. I'm coming along to help him out at the office, so to speak. Normally we do have spring season games around this time, but I haven't heard anything, and if parents don't tell us, we don't know, which is unfortunate, but we're kind of really busy this spring, so it'll probably work out.
Yeah, it's been kind of busy.
I mean, I haven't had a chance.
I just thought of it the other day. It's like, isn't spring season supposed to be going on?
Yeah, but it's supposed to thunderstorm today, so like even if they had a game, they probably would have had to cancel it. We'll see. Thankfully, it hasn't really rained yet, but the clouds are rather interesting.
Yeah, I expect we're going to run into some weather.
I'm also doing a little bit of a test right now with Prism. I'm doing 1080 instead of the normal 720 to see if the hotspot can handle it, because I'm trying to do some local videography around our area. So I've been doing a lot of testing out with the gimbal, using the tripod, and just trying to see what works and what doesn't work to get our unique, iron bridges, stone bridges, railroads. We got a lot of railroads in our area, which is cool.
That's one stone bridge that we visited. That was really pretty.
Yeah, that was Trexler. That was the little tiny town of Trexler.
It's a triple stone arch bridge.
Like I told you it was either yesterday or the day before. It was because it was hot both days, but it was in the shade there where I was recording. The relaxation of like that water flowing. I was like, I could take a nap right here. Like it's so soothing, just having that water flow. But it was really, really scenic with the grass and the flowers. And of course the stone. The stone was really well made. We don't make bridges like that anymore. And same with the Iron Bridge. The Iron Gate Bridge, like the big iron bridge.
With the iron superstructure.
Yeah, you don't see those very often.
That one used to be an open grate bridge, but it's now concrete.
Yeah, I was actually thinking it was still open grate, because when I used to go to school back in the day, my school bus would go by there, and it was iron grate bridge. And I always wondered, like, how many times did someone drop something? Because the kids would have to walk across it.
I know it had been closed for a while. The state wanted to permanently close it, and the county
Fought it.
I don't know how all that worked, but there's a number of residents that rely on that bridge. There's another way out, but it's not convenient.
Yeah. They just made it one lane instead of two.
Is that what happened?
I think so. Because I only ever see one lane going across.
And I just wonder, because of it being a concrete surface now, that if that metal superstructure is now really just for looks, that they kept that as part of the look of the bridge.
Could be.
But they might have re-engineered the bridge that's not really being used for structural support.
I know my plan is, like, once I'm done with this project, is I'm actually going to put together kind of like a highlight reel so I can share it with you guys, so you guys can see it on YouTube, Facebook, and Rumble, because it's really scenic. Like, it's just been really, really fun.
Did you get a chance to look under that bridge?
I didn't get under it because of being private property.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't want to...
Yeah, I'm wondering, maybe it actually is, the superstructure is still important, because I don't know if there's any supporting span in the middle, any
I don't know.
Support.
The only way to know is if we, went along 143 and got out to look with, like, binoculars, maybe.
Because that is a fairly long span.
It would have been cool to get under it. I would have loved to have been under it, but we'd have to contact the owners. Jeremy says, no snow here in Kentucky this year. We had a lot of tornadoes weather this winter. What do you mean ice? It's hard to... Looks like tornado icon and then ice. Yeah, a lot of places didn't get much snow this year, or at least in this area. We had, ironically, the one day my dad had to go to work, we had the only, quote, blizzard-like day we had all winter. Like, it literally looked... Oh, did you just see the lightning?
No.
It was a whole spider line of lightning on our left. Anyway, back to the snow. So the one day you had to go to work, it was like we were out in a snow globe. It's like someone shook the snow globe vigorously and it was coming down like you were just getting soaked loading the car. And then we had trouble turning the car around in our driveway because we have a gravel driveway. And finally got it turned around after you put some stone down. And you got there and your boss is like, "What's snow?" Because there was no snow in New Jersey. It was all rain.
The further you went, the less there was. The worst part of the trip was the driveway.
Yeah, and then we got home and it was just one big slushy disaster because it had rained several inches while we were gone. It was just.
I managed to get my annual fall in though.
Yeah,
I slipped on that slush coming in that night.
At least my laptop survived.
Felt like I was sliding into second base.
Yeah.
So it didn't work. It wasn't too bad. I mean, there's falls and then there's falls, and
yeah,
this was more like a slide. So
it was a messy one, but at least it wasn't a bad one. So, I didn't realize you could turn left there. Most people don't try it.
actually the older highway going that way.
Yeah.
The original. It used to be Pennsylvania Route 43, even before it was Route 22.
Oh, it looks like it rained here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool that they kept the old highway there.
Goes to Citronia. We're going to get on 309 for a short stretch to get back over to Route 78.
The only other time we had snow enough to like stay around for a day was when you and I were both sick with the flu, or what we thought was the flu, at the end of February into early March, because we were both sick for 2 weeks.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was awful. But I figured out why it probably took us so long to get over that. Apparently when you have low platelets, because I had lab work done like shortly after that, you have less T cells, and less T cells means it takes longer to get over, something like that. So I just found that out at my doctor's appointment on Friday.
It's a very old on-ramp. With no merging lane at all.
Jeremy says, Duluth, Minnesota has 6 feet of snow this winter. Oh wow, that's a lot of snow. Hey Nancy, she says, hi Gwen, how's it going? It's going good. I'm sorry I haven't been live in a while. I've been really, really busy locally, trying to help out with school board candidate campaigns, my local Republican committee stuff, which I kind of forgot to tell you guys, I'm officially a committee woman, so that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, that just officially happened recently.
Yeah, it was the end of March, it became official. Our committee woman resigned due to real life issues. She wasn't able to make the commitments, so I was able to pass the mustard apparently and get approved. So I'm officially an elected person, even though I wasn't elected yet. Got appointed, so I get to finish out her term and then I can run again. So that's exciting. Jeremy says congratulations. Oh, thanks, Jeremy. It's exciting. I'm really excited to get more involved locally, because it's been a bit frustrating with everything, federally, not being able to get the change that we're hoping for. So I've been telling people, you got to get involved locally and start there and work our way up. So that's kind of what I've been trying to do.
I guess we're trying to practice what we've been preaching, huh?
Yeah. So we're getting involved locally, helping out our local school board candidates, because our schools unfortunately has the books that are not really good to have in schools. They're very explicit. So I'm working on a project for that as well. And then I mentioned earlier I'm doing the one where I'm going around our area, just kind of, videoing local features to put together a video of the area. So that's fun.
Yeah, we have a number of school board members that are running for re-election who voted to put these particular books in the school. So we want to bring that to the attention of the voters.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I can't believe anybody would want their child to read those books. But Nancy says, Duluth is 2 hours from me. 6 feet is nothing. We had over 200 inches of snow. Awesome, you'll do great. She also wrote, good kids don't need... I can't say that word, Nancy, because YouTube will have a cow, but I know what you mean. We're just going to say corn instead. You guys will have to figure out what the word is supposed horrible. I didn't want to have to buy the books, but I bought the books so I could do this project, and it's bad. I knew it was bad, but I didn't realize how bad the books were. But I look at it this way: since we go around to different events, I can take them with me and help educate other parents and concerned citizens about what could be in their child's library, so that way they can, pay attention and look into it. Because I'm going to guess a lot of people don't know about it. Like, I didn't know about it until Constitution Day last year when Phoenicia Redmond told everybody about it. I was like, what? It's like, I don't have any kids, but it's like, I don't want them reading those books. It looks like we're starting to hit some of that thunderstorm.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Well, we expected to run into some weather today.
Yeah, Nancy says, what happened to learning just English, math, and geography? Nancy, I think it's all about indoctrination now. It's not about life skills. I mean, a lot of kids don't know how to do taxes, or write out a checkbook, or write a check, or nowadays do cursive. I don't even know. Do they teach cursive anymore to kids?
Did they teach it to you guys?
Yeah, we learned cursive.
I don't know if they do it at all now.
I think it was, I want to recall it was like 3rd to 5th grade that we were working on cursive.
You didn't spend a lot of time on it either.
No, it's either 3rd, 4th, or 5th grade. The first 2 grades, 1st and 2nd, was learning how to write.
Because I know you were challenged to be able to read cursive writing because you don't work with it much.
Yeah, I do struggle to read cursive.
And admittedly, I don't write it much myself. So much stuff is just done from a keyboard now.
Yeah.
I tend to print more than I write cursive.
I like to type more than to write because it's easier on my arthritis, my hands. Like handwriting a lot aggravates my thumb a lot. And I'm a pretty fast typer.
So we're going to be crossing over South Mountain up ahead.
For those that are just joining, I just wanted to do a re-mention. There's an upcoming event for Lions for Liberty. Scott and I are both members of Lions for Liberty. We covered some events for them last year. On June 9th at 12 p.m. to 5 p.m., they're going to be hosting Dr. Peter McCullough, Attorney Tom Renz, and Steve Hirsch. It's going to be held at the Holiday Inn Hershey Harrisburg in Grantville, Pennsylvania. So it's 604 Station Road, Grantville, PA 17028. You can register for tickets at lionsforliberty.com. They have all the information about what's going to be talked about. If you want to get 10% off, you can use the discount code GWYN in all capital letters. That's GWYN. And if you prefer to avoid paying the Eventbrite fees online for the online tickets, you can also join Lions for Liberty. flash flooding happening with this storm.
That happens in this area too.
Yeah, it's very prone to it.
We have some friends that live near here, and they were showing us some photos, some flooded roadways and some past storms.
Nancy says it was beautiful here too, but now it's flooding. 2 inches of rain expected today, and then 8 to 10 inches of snow tomorrow. I hope the forecast is wrong. Wow, that's a lot of rain and then tremendous snow.
Wow.
I'm guessing that means it'll be like ice underneath the snow because of the rain.
I'm guessing it's not staying ice anymore. But,
No, because it's gonna transition to snow though.
I don't know.
It'll be messy.
Wet snow, I guess.
I mean, it's gonna be heavy snow.
Where is she? Pretty far north?
She said Duluth is 2 hours from her, Minnesota.
Wow.
When Jeremy was mentioning it. Your boss is asking if you can delay today because of the storm that's pounding them.
Really?
Yeah. There's a big storm hitting right now. Not being used for anything else today or tonight. It's raining really hard.
I've been looking at the weather forecast in the last 24 hours, and it doesn't seem like it's getting anything right. It pretty much looked like it was going to be just scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms, and now it's this.
Yeah.
So really, he wants me to not...
I wrote back. That's okay. You're good. He just said you could if you wanted to.
Oh, okay.
Because
well, we'll see. You know, it happened once before that I actually tried to make this trip, and the weather just got so bad that
you had to turn around.
Yeah, I just like I'm done. I'm done trying. There's waterfalls next to the road. Like, okay, we're done. We're going home.
And it was a good thing you did it because I remember the following day that section of road that you were driving on made the news because it flooded so bad that people were using their kayaks in the street. It was so bad. Nancy says she's got crazy weather by Lake Superior. She's near Hurley, Wisconsin, kind of near the Wisconsin Michigan border.
Ah.
That's cool. I've always wanted to go over to
I gotta
Wisconsin.
get my maps out and refresh myself on that area. Eric's from Wisconsin, right? Mechanic Eric?
Yeah, he is. I wonder how he's doing. I haven't seen him in a while. I haven't been able to keep up with everybody's channels lately because, like I said, we've been really busy locally. That it's just been a whirlwind. Yeah, and then the fact that we're trying to do a garden and it's just a lot going on.
East Saucon Valley Road, that's where we're gonna go. Oh, I wanted to point out something to you on this trip today. There used to be, I don't think it's active anymore, a zinc mine in this area.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
From what I understand, it was the New Jersey Zinc Company. And it was pretty deep. They used to pump the water out. And because of the limestone, you would get sinkholes in areas.
Oh, wow.
The ground would collapse because the sinkholes would open up because there's no water.
Is this where you go towards it?
No, I'm just trying to think here where it is. I think it's up a little further. Things have changed a lot here, like everywhere else. Just one of the things we see is signs here for Friedensville. Like, where's Friedensville?
Yeah.
And
I see an old factory in here on the right.
yeah, this is it.
Can you actually go in here or no?
No, you're not.
Oh.
No, it is.
The gate's open.
The gate is open. I wouldn't go in there, but
Yeah. Can we just pull in just to show them what it looks like? It's a big.
can't get much of a view. But you can see that's a pretty old-looking structure there.
Let me zoom in.
Some kind of tower. But I think this is the New Jersey Zinc Company mine, the so-called Friedensville mine. And they used to pump a lot of water out into the Saucon Creek. and that was what was creating sinkhole problems. There's actually been a case that I can remember where a house, the whole backyard kind of became a sinkhole.
Oh, wow.
Right up to the house foundation.
That's not good.
I remember my dad taking me to see that when I was a kid. But there's other areas where there's been sinkholes, and it's been aggravated by the water pumping. But I don't know
if... a car coming up behind us in a second.
Yeah. I don't know if the mine's active anymore. I don't think so. It looks kind of like it's run down and abandoned.
Yeah, I was going to say, it doesn't look like it's...
But I thought it was neat because there's all this new development going on. Like right up the street here is this Aldi warehouse. I'm hoping that they preserve the site.
For historical purposes.
Yeah. It would be kind of neat if they did that. But they used to talk about how they would pump the water table down for the mining operation. And that was contributing to the sinkhole problem.
Yeah, sinkholes are not something you want to mess around with, that's for sure.
There's actually, coming up, we'll be crossing Route 378. And there's a stretch of that road where it's actually built over. There's actually a superstructure underground bridging over a sinkhole that is under the road.
Oh, wow. Nancy says, that's really cool. We have copper mines here. I love this stone church here. It's really pretty.
As best as I can tell, this is, quote, Friedensville.
It says
Friedensburg.
1839 is when the church was built.
Yeah. This road crossing here is Old Bethlehem Pike, which is a historic road. I'm guessing the Liberty Bell rode up that road on its way to being hidden during the Revolutionary War. I don't know if there was a direct route into Allentown at that point or not. I don't think that there was. It was actually hidden, I believe, in a church in Allentown, Pennsylvania, during the Revolutionary War. There's a couple places along the route where they have a replica of the Liberty Bell sitting there. It's like the Liberty Bell was, sat here, while they had lunch or something, or they stayed overnight. There's a place in Quakertown that has a replica along the road. I'm trying to think where there's another one. Here's a flooded out stretch of road. Pretty muddy too.
Yeah, look at the erosion. Oh my goodness. This is what I was talking about, flash floods. Like, that's awful. It's raging through the golf course here on the right. There's like a little pedestrian bridge over it, and it's just up to the bridge.
Yeah.
Nancy agrees, it's a gorgeous church. You guys are so close to so much history. Yeah, we're really lucky to have so much around us. That's one of the things I was noticing yesterday when I was out videoing all the historical sites where we live. It's just like, wow. I never really I've always appreciated where I've lived, but I've never really appreciated how much history there's around us. Like, we have the old WKNS Railroad, we have the different what's the one over near Lyons called? Do you remember?
Allentown and Auburn?
Yeah, the Allentown and Auburn Railroad. We have, all sorts of unique historic bridges. It's a shame that one covered bridge isn't in our area for the video, but it's an old covered bridge nonetheless. That's just gorgeous that they actually helped remodel it to restore it, to keep it alive. So they kept as much as the original wood as they could, but they had to add additional wood to keep the structure alive. So I don't know, it's 2 years they spent remodeling it to keep it alive. So that's back in place, so that's really pretty.
They actually shipped it somewhere to have it done.
Yeah, and they didn't just use any old wood. They actually tried to get wood from that time to match it, to keep the wood consistency the same, which is really cool.
Did they really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Where did they take the wood from?
I don't know. But they tried to use the same type of wood.
I'm sure it wasn't just a reproduction thing, where they tried to use the same techniques to make the new wood, look like the old.
I heard that they were able to find trees that were similar, let's say it was oak, they used.
So it was new wood then.
Yeah, it was quote newer wood, but they used the same type of wood to keep the aesthetic essentially. This is really notice all the trees are blooming along here this time. Last time we drove through here, they hadn't opened up yet.
Yeah, you haven't been with me for a while. It's been getting better every trip.
Are we going left this time or right?
Yeah, I think we're going left. You wanted to grab some food, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be easier to go left.
One car on the right. Another one on the right?
Yeah, good timing. Oh, he's gonna
turning.
turn.
Okay.
I'm gonna take advantage of that.
He's using his turn signal. Yay! Sometimes people don't.
Just thinking back to what Nancy said about schools and what they're teaching. Just doing way too much stuff, I think. I think part of the problem is it's take over our
my
children's
gosh.
education.
Look at it. Look
Oh
at
yeah,
it.
there's quite a bit of flooding there off to Gwen's side.
Yeah, sorry guys. It's like the whole stream is out of its banks. It's totally out of the banks.
I'm not sure which stream that is either.
I don't either, but I've never seen it that far out of the banks. Like that's normally you can't see that stream at all, and it's into the woods. I mean,
Yeah,
look how
well,
far it is.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see if we have any issues getting across this.
Yeah, look, here comes some up on the right. You guys will be able to see
It's
it.
pretty muddy too.
Yeah,
Oh wow, look at that.
like it's all the way up almost to the road here. You're not going into that guy's house. That guy is not getting out. He's got trees and stuff in his driveway. Like that's insane. Oh, the poor daffodils got like messed up. That's a shame. I've never seen it flood like this. I've always heard Hellertown area floods.
I think this is what they call the Black River.
yeah, that's
and-
probably right.
At least down here it is. Normally it's just a trickle, but today it's a river.
Sorry, you were saying about the schools.
Oh, that just the scope has expanded so much, and I think it's been just too easy to allow that to happen. It's like, oh, I don't have to worry about any of this stuff. The school's going to teach it, and the schools have just gotten out of control about what they're teaching. And it's what you said. It's gone from teaching stuff to indoctrinating them.
Yeah, which is just a shame. I know I tell a lot of people, it's like, if you can take your kids out right now, I would not have kids in school, especially the last few years. It's just really, really bad. Between everything with COVID and other stuff, the books, it's bad. Yeah, it's raging through the woods here.
We're going to be crossing it up here, so
I think this bridge is probably big enough that it can
Yeah.
handle it.
Black River.
But yeah.
Normally it's just a little bit of a creek. We'll have to take a look. The Saucon Creek might not look as bad because it might take longer for the waters to rise. But that'll be the next creek we cross after we go over this hill. Yeah, I would tend to agree with you at this point. Private school maybe is an option. I understand even some private schools are a problem. Homeschooling, there's a lot more interest in homeschooling.
Yeah, there's also co-ops that you could do with like homeschooling where you have a set of parents. Let's say you guys work, all of you work, like you could take one day off from work and say, you know, parent A teaches on Monday, parent B teaches on Tuesday, parent, you know, so forth. And that way it's not just you doing all the work, you're kind of like rotating. So I've seen success with that. There's also cyber schools, but you have to do your research. Pennsylvania has a lot of different cyber schools.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's something that's an option in every state.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That'd be something people would have to look up. I know I personally did cyber school for high school because I was not thrilled with my local high school. There was a lot of things I didn't like. I was being bullied in school. I didn't like the hour-long bus rides in the afternoon with the bus driver who basically hated children. That was awful. Also, my honors science teacher, I decided to sign up for honors science going into my freshman year, and I don't know what happened, but he abruptly left the school district, and when I asked to get removed from the program, because I joined the program mainly because I liked the teacher, they got all hissy about it and said, no, you're stuck with it. So I was not happy with that. And then they had the whole MacBook program that our school had, where you had to shell out money to rent these laptops that you had to use for class. And I didn't really want to deal with that. I didn't like using Apple products at the time. It just wasn't my thing. And I just didn't really care for the kids that were in school. Like the fashion wars. It's just like, I want to focus on my academics and get a good scholarship for college. I don't care about all this other nonsense. What was great about it, though, is Pennsylvania has a law that if you do cyber school, you can still do local sports. So I was still able to play field hockey, which was amazing. I also joined a local private school's band program, which was fun. So we did that. And then I also had still a travel band from my old days playing at the school district that was open to anybody in the community. So that was fun. And then, of course, I had Girl Scouts, Astronomy Club, travel field hockey for club. So it wasn't like I basically had no life for high school, doing everything.
I wouldn't say that.
I loved it, though. I absolutely loved it. I had a blast.
You were doing what you wanted to do, I think.
Yeah. Nancy says it's all about control, I think, in regards to schools. And Jeremy says, very nice scenery. Yeah, it is really nice.
Yeah, we crossed the Saucon Creek. That didn't look too bad. Then we crossed a walkway there. That was a rail trail. That used to be the main rail line, passenger line between Bethlehem and Philadelphia. I remember riding on it when I was a kid, taking the train to Philly, as we like to call Philadelphia. We call it Philly. Like
Yeah.
Philadelphia Phillies. So my boss was all worried about the rain, huh?
Well, he was worried about you driving in it.
How'd you write back? It's like, too late, already doing that.
I basically wrote, hitting one in the Lehigh Valley now. He's like, okay, I'm home now. It's already clearing up. Seems like it was a fast one. So he was just really concerned because it was really bad from what he was writing. So
Yeah, well, we hit something that was pretty bad.
trying to get it to unzoom out. All right, I'll go grab everybody some lunch, and I'll be back in a few minutes, hopefully, if all goes well. You want to keep an eye on the stream and talk to everybody while I go in?
Yeah, is there anything else you want to cover?
If you want to go over the McCullough event again, now that it's not pouring cats and dogs, you could do that if you like. I'll leave you the information. Because I don't know if Nancy was on earlier when I was talking about it. Except when it started to pour, of course.
It's a bit of a commute, though, from...
Yeah, I know. But she might have friends still in Pennsylvania. That's one of the cool things about my following on Facebook and YouTube. I assume Rumble too, is I have people that follow me all over the country, which is really cool. And even from Canada. So.
Yeah, I know that some of these guys speak, different places in the country.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is they do travel to speak. And the other thing I forgot to mention also is make sure you mention Ken Matthews is also going to be involved with the event. I forgot to mention that earlier.
Oh, we're allowed to talk about that?
Yeah, he's going to be involved. We don't know to what degree, but he's going to be there.
Okay.
So that's exciting.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody... I'm guessing some people out there certainly know who Ken Matthews is. Apparently he used to work in this area where we are right now on the radio for quite a few years. He's been a broadcaster for most of his life, and he got into talk radio maybe it was 10 years ago. I'm not quite sure about the timeline, but I remember first hearing him. He took over for a local host who retired at an AM talk station in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And I really didn't follow him real closely back then, but I started listening to him, I guess, a little bit before the pandemic. And when the pandemic struck, he was really the only radio host that I would hear that was talking about medical freedom and the safety of the injections and so forth. And one of the only people that would talk about things like myocarditis when that first became a thing. He seemed to be really up on all of the vax safety information, and he was really a great resource for people who didn't know much about those things. And then the other thing that happened is that he got to become a substitute host for Rush Limbaugh. And as you may know, Rush Limbaugh, was ill. He was fighting lung cancer in his last couple of years. So there were periods of time where he wasn't able to do his radio show. And there were a number of guest hosts that he used to have on. I used to like to listen to Mark Stein when he was on, and Ken Matthews became a guest host, and that was really amazing because I was already familiar with him when he was on WHP in Harrisburg. So to have him on the national show was really cool. But he is he went after I forget when it was now, maybe a year and a half ago. He started doing his own national syndication, and he was still on WHP in Harrisburg, but the live show was actually 3 hours earlier on the national stage. And there were a number of different stations across the country that started to carry him. And something happened. It was one of these really weird things. He thought he wasn't on microphone, and he was reading some of the content off the Hunter Biden laptop to his producer or engineer. And apparently his mic was live. And he ended up getting fired for that. And he moved on then to start his own syndicated channel. I know you can catch some of his episodes on Rumble if you look him up, Ken Matthews. But he's also doing something now on the internet. I think it's through some aggregator of content that you can find him. It's a subscription service now, but you can get an idea of what he does if you check him out on Rumble. There's some things on Rumble that you can, some shows you can hear. And he's really continuing to do a lot of the stuff that he did at WHP. But anyway, the long story on that, he's going to be one of the, perhaps one of the hosts or MCs for the event, or at least part of the event. So it's a good opportunity to see Ken Matthews and meet him. He's a really nice guy. He's really smart. He does a lot of research for his shows. He reads. He loves to read, so he's reading all the books that are out there. So he's really up on a lot of this stuff when it comes to medical freedom, and really was one of the few voices out there that was willing to talk about medical freedom and the safety risks of the vax. Honestly, I was surprised. I've never had a chance to ask him, but I've always was surprised that the radio station let him talk about it as much that he did. That was pretty amazing that they allowed him to do that. So the event that I'm talking about here is June the 9th. It's called Science Uncensored. It's being sponsored by, it's being presented by Lions for Liberty. And it's going to be located east of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, at Holiday Inn at the Grantville exit. It's exit number 80 on Interstate 81. And there's going to be 3 people, 3 speakers. Dr. Peter McCullough, Attorney Tom Renz, and Dr. Steve Kirsch. And a lot of you may know Dr. McCullough. He's been one of the outspoken critics of the official pandemic response. He was a believer in early treatment. He encouraged others, I think, to speak out. And he ended up losing all his positions. I think he was an editor of some journals. He was, I think, at Baylor University. They pretty much banned him. The left would call it canceling him. He pretty much got canceled, and he's had to go do other things. But he's been really outspoken. We had a chance to meet him at a similar event that Alliance for Liberty sponsored in March of last year. In fact, it was the exact day that the People's Convoy arrived at Hagerstown from their initial organization and travel across the country from California East. In fact, Gwen and I were planning to go and try to see the convoy coming in on the way to Hagerstown, but we had this event, and it was a must attend event for us because Dr. McCullough was going to be there, and Steve Kirsch. We also had Brian Artis, and Attorney Tom Renz did also make a short visit. We didn't know he was going to be there or not, and that was kind of neat to have him show up to that event. That was in March of last year when the People's Convoy was actually coming into Hagerstown. So that event turned out to be too long, and so we had to give up on the idea of going to meet the convoy. We ended up following up later and then getting more involved in the whole movement behind the convoy. So Dr. McCullough, Steve Kirsch, Tom Renz, June 9th, not too far from here, the Hershey-Harrisburg exit on Interstate 81, exit number 80. The little town nearby is called Grantville. And you can buy tickets by going to the Alliance for Liberty website, which, can I tell you what that is? Not easily. But I think if you search for Alliance for Liberty, you'll be able to find them. You can go onto their website and you can register for the event. Pick the tickets you want. We're hoping to get a good turnout, because I'm sure it's not cheap to have these guys show up and talk. And there's been a lot of stuff. I know Dr. Steve Kirsch, he's a PhD. He's a pretty funny guy. And one of the things that I guess this is what he was famous for, is he's the guy that invented the optical mouse for the computer. If you remember, in the early days of computers, the mice all had these rubber balls on the bottom that you would roll on the mouse pad to get them to work. And I don't know, I'd have to take mine apart every so often, because the ball would just pick up all this lint and dirt from the mouse pad, and then it would just get caked on inside, and then the thing wouldn't work right. Well, Steve Kirsch invented the optical mouse that got rid of the ball and got rid of that problem. But he's been really going down the rabbit hole in vaccine safety. And it's a rabbit hole that we were already in, so we kind of knew a lot, but he went down it, so he's become a voice in the wilderness about vaccine safety. And he recommends everybody read a book called Turtles All the Way Down, and that really is a good resource if you're new to the subject. It turns out that what the government did with the COVID vaccine is really nothing new. We've been doing shoddy science on vaccine safety for years. And this is something that Dr. Kirsch has revealed. So it'll be really interesting to hear him talking about that. I'm sure that's partly what he's going to talk about. He's got an organization, Vaccine Safety Research Foundation. They do a weekly video broadcast that you can find. I think it's on their website that you can tune into it. I know Gwenny sometimes will have that on, and they'll talk about different stuff, and you can ask questions. Sometimes you can get your questions in there as well. But he talks about all this stuff that's been going on. So he's really, to me, he's kind of an unsung hero of the pandemic. He was in the I guess he was in the government's list of like the Dirty Dozen, one of the top sources of misinformation. So that's quite a badge of honor now that we found out how much censorship the government has been involved with big tech. So getting on that Dirty Dozen list is probably a good thing. And I don't know if you know that RFK Jr. He's on that list too, and I believe he's running for president. So that's going to be really good because RFK Jr. I think is going to bring a lot of this stuff to the light of day, which a lot of people don't want known. Hey, you're back.
I'm back. Can you remove that from the cup holder?
Yeah, sure.
I asked Kim for a big bag today because I didn't want to spill it all at the rain.
Did RFK Jr. officially announce that he's running for president? Or is that happening soon?
Let's see, what's the date today?
15th of April. Tax day.
I think it's tomorrow. I believe it's tomorrow.
In Boston.
Yeah. I mean, he's already said he's running, but he's like making his official announcement tomorrow.
Yeah.
Let me just double check my email. Where is it? Because he's said that people could donate to the VSRF Vaccine Safety Research Foundation. That they could join him for dinner on Tuesday, April 18th.
Yeah, I was just mentioning about that. That's Steve Kirsch's organization.
Yeah.
I was saying how Dr. Steve Kirsch is kind of the one of the unsung heroes of the pandemic.
Yeah.
He doesn't really get a lot of recognition, but he's on the Dirty Dozen list.
Yeah.
But RFK Jr. is too, and he's going to run for president, so that ought to be good.
I really like Bobby, as they call him. He's really, really awesome. Oh my goodness, let's see. Hey, Robert Malone's gonna be there for when he announced.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's next week he's doing it, apparently. So I got the dates wrong, I'm sorry. I thought it was the 16th, but it might...
Sounds like Robert Malone will be voting for RFK Jr., huh?
Yeah. When is the date?
I know he wasn't a Trump guy.
No.
Can you forgive Malone for voting for Biden?
Yeah.
That is where we end up in World War III before it's over.
Well, I think Malone has learned media. I don't want to apologize in advance. If we lose service through here, we'll try to get back as soon as we can. The service could be very intermittent, so apologies in advance.
Yeah, I think Nancy had to leave.
Oh, okay.
I didn't read it, but
She said, thanks for doing all you guys have and are doing. Safe travels. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Nancy. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Okay, so everybody's talking about the event, but can they actually tell me when it is?
It's this weekend, I think.
No, it's April 19th.
Oh, really?
It's next week.
In the middle of the week? That's Thursday, isn't it? Or is it Wednesday?
Wednesday. Because Steve Kirsch said the night before you can go to dinner with him if you donate to his organization.
Oh, yeah.
Which is the 18th. So it makes sense that it's the 19th. I don't know why you picked a Wednesday. But maybe it's hard right now with it being spring to get venues. I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting thing. I don't really know much about his other politics. You know, it does concern me, but he's right on the money when it comes to the vax safety.
Yeah.
He's been one of the few outspoken people, and his book, The Real Anthony Fauci, is really...
really good.
Yeah.
Highly recommend you read it if you haven't. Or you can get the audiobook and listen to that in the car or whatnot. Oh, someone hit their fence. Duh. Our famous duh sign.
I don't know what duh stands for.
I don't know, but we take it to be in the literal meaning, like like you're face palming yourself.
goes back to the contest we used to have. Who could see the sign first and shout it out?
Yeah. I missed the eye care one. There was one in New Jersey when you crossed into New Jersey, and it was like for an optometrist sign, and it said eye care. But now it's labeled something else, which is
It's
not
no longer an eye doctor, I don't think.
Yeah.
So that's some scenery here between where we are and the Delaware River, which is where we're headed. And then we go into enemy territory. New Jersey, right?
Yeah.
Although I guess we're not enemies anymore. We're both blue states. So
Yeah. Sorry for the noise, guys. I gotta do a little rearranging.
crossing into Bucks County. We've actually been in a few counties on the way. We started in Berks, went through Lehigh.
And it's sunny again.
It is, a little bit of Northampton County, and now here we are, we're in Bucks County.
The weather is very all over the place.
I guess that's what you mean by isolated thunderstorms.
Yeah.
It's funny, you know.
I thought there would be a rainbow by the time I came out with the food. I was expecting a rainbow because I was like, it was raining really hard, and then all of a sudden there's the sun. I was like, oh, well, maybe there'll be a rainbow.
You perceive the world around you by, you know, what you're seeing directly. So you're in the middle of this terrible storm, and you just naturally think it's like that everywhere. So I get that text message about, oh, you know, you might want to come tomorrow. It's terribly raining. So,
Yeah.
Wait 20 minutes and it might be sunny. A little bit.
Awesome.
Didn't see that. I was looking for it, but
lionsforliberty.com.
.com. It is a .com.
Yeah, that's their website. It's cleared.
I wonder why they didn't get a .org.
I don't know.
I thought they were nonprofit.
I'm not sure what their status is. It's possible they just haven't gotten all their paperwork yet.
It looks like it washed out here pretty good today.
Service is gone, so there's a chance it'll. Yeah, Prism's complaining.
I've forgotten a lot about my tree leaf collection. But at the time, it was really a good experience. Learned a lot of tree identification. I can see that, you know, being a good thing to be doing in school.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, learn what things are called. All these things have names, right? Isn't there something about that? It kind of helps your brain process it better, that you can look at things like, oh, that's a this or that's a that, rather than that's just another bush or another flowering tree.
Reinforce it, essentially. Yeah.
So you in parts. Ours were white, I think. The sour cherry.
I want to know what all this yellow stuff is growing along the road, if that's goldenrod or if that's something else. Because I know goldenrod's like a golden flower.
place along the left there had a preserved open space sign.
Oh, nice.
I've seen that in a couple different places along this stretch.
I'm just glad it's not raining anymore right now. Makes the drive more fun.
.212 will take us to Route 611.
Did I miss the guy with the train in his yard?
I think that's coming up on the left.
Okay. I can always...
Right away. That's been in the yard for a while.
We might have passed it already, thinking about it.
Yeah.
Here's another preserved farm.
Yep, there's another sign. And I remember there's one more on the right, further down the highway. I always thought this was a scenic stretch of road.
It is. It's beautiful. You got old farms on your right. Oh yeah, this is the guys with the train in the yard. But yeah, like you said, it's kind of... We might have finally gotten rid of it.
No,
Oh,
it's
there it
here.
is.
I would say around here, April is my favorite month.
Yeah. Usually the weather's not too bad. Though with our bugs have really sprung awake. There's a lot of winter time if it doesn't. Sometimes ladybugs, sometimes stink bugs. Boy,
What was that?
I thought it was a rock at first, but
No, it's
it's
back.
a bag.
Yeah, it moved.
At first glance, I thought it was a rock because it was kind of shaped like a rock.
It gave me that impression too. It's like, well, I hope we clear this.
Yeah.
Now we're heading down to the river.
That guy had a moose crossing sign in his driveway. Nancy says we used to count crows. First to 10, 1.
Oh, Nancy's still here.
Well, the service was intermittent, so we might not have gotten comments for a little bit. She likes to check in on me periodically. It's cool.
I kind of like the crows. I wish I could convince them that I'm not going to hurt them.
It's amazing how smart they are. Like, I watched the one video that Dr. Malone shared about, like, training crows and stuff.
Yeah.
And it just was really interesting how this lady was able to make these little toys for the crows, like putting like seeds and stuff under cups or whatever, and the crows would figure it out. It's really fascinating.
I wonder though, are crows a pest?
I don't know. Like, are they?
Like, will they damage your crops? And you know, you have a garden crow come in there and mess it all up.
I don't know. Good question.
Because hunting crows used to be a thing.
Is that why they invented a scarecrow to scare away the crows?
Maybe.
At least that's how I always took it in the literal sense, but I could be wrong. I know people put like tinfoil pans out in their garden. We did that when we grew strawberries when I was a kid. We hung tinfoil pans out to try to get the birds away from the strawberries.
You could go through all the effort to try to keep the four-legged critters out, but you got the attack from the sky you got to worry about.
Some people do netting. It's a lot of work though. We have, I don't know what type of bird it is. We always call them chippies. They're like like this little gray bird with kind of like a longer tail feather. And when they talk, it sounds like they're chirping at you, like it's like kind of like chippies, but it's like chirpy, 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 you know?
What did you say we call them?
Chippies.
Chippies. What are the?
The gray ones, the little gray ones.
I thought they were skippies.
Oh, you're right. They're skippies. Sorry.
Those are catbirds.
Catbirds?
Yeah.
I didn't know those were catbirds.
It's funny. I kind of thought that they were, but our dentist, he's got a bird feeder. You can see out the window when you're there. So of all times, you know, I'm in the dentist chair getting a cavity fixed or whatever, and one of those, what we call skippies, landed on his
Bird feeder.
And I said, "What's that bird out there?" And he looks. It's like, "Well, that's a catbird." Kind of saying in a way like, "Well, everybody knows that, right?"
Yeah. Well, he knows his birds because he's got the bird feeder. He's had it for years, so. But they kind of skip around on the sidewalk with the way they hop. But they like to go for our grape tomatoes, which is really annoying. They'll peck each of the grape tomatoes.
They're cute birds, but I don't like them doing that.
Yeah, so can you not peck all the tomatoes? Like, just stick to the one that you're pecking.
Because you talk to them, and they almost seem like they're listening to you. The other thing they like to do is after you mow the grass, they like to scout that out for, I guess, for bugs. Freshly cut grass.
I remember the cat used to do the same thing, except he was probably scouting out the birds, not the bugs.
Well, it was, if you were cutting really high grass, you would stir up some mice too, I think. So he was looking for that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I remember we had one cat. He would go hunting when I would mow the high grass.
Yeah, midnight. Yeah.
He'd camp out along the edge of the cut grass,
Keep an eye on things.
looking for something to come crawling out of the high grass.
This road is really getting bombed out.
Yeah, every time I come through here, it's a little worse, it seems. The freeze-thaw effect is rough on this road.
There's a manufacturing plant across the river.
That's the power plant that never generates power.
Yeah, it's weird.
We have a friend that works in the utility industry, and he said that that's a plant that never generates power, but it gets paid to be on standby, essentially.
I'm trying to recall how he said they generated at this plant.
I don't know, but he knows it. He knew which plant we were talking about.
He says they have to keep all the maintenance up to keep everything running.
Yeah. But I guess it's all part of how the grid is managed.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
And there's some kind of bidding process that goes into it every day, he says.
I didn't know that. I thought that was really weird.
It's kind of like the behind the scenes, how does the grid function and how does it all work?
It looks like they did some recent construction over there. They got grass seed down for erosion control. This is a rock or a branch? Piece of wood. Well, that's the downside about this section is the rocks can come down.
So we got the river and we also have the Delaware Canal on our left.
We'll be able to see the pedestrian bridge for the canal up here on the left. The Narrows. Cute looking restaurant. It's really busy today. They got parking all the way in the back.
Restaurants have come and gone from there over the years.
Yeah.
It's kind of an out of the way place. It seems like they do well for a while, and the novelty of it wears off. Then they go out of business.
Yeah. Well, it's a hard spot, you know. People don't know about it.
twisty and turny.
The guy up here has a nice American flag. Always hanging. He also has a "Don't Tread on Me," but it kind of wrapped around the flagpole. This is one of those roads you don't want to hug the white line on it, because sometimes the white line is literally eaten by the erosion on the side of the road. We got this narrow little bridge here going across Falls Creek.
Pennsylvania on our roads that have no shoulders. Not
Yeah.
even enough for a bicycle.
No, definitely not. I mean, like I said, like here, like the white line is gone. Here's the DNL trail for Ringing Rocks Trailhead. You can actually park there and go hiking.
DNL Trail, that must be Delaware and Lehigh.
I'm guessing so, but I'm not 100% sure.
That's a really long trail. Up the Delaware and then up the Lehigh River.
Yeah.
There's another placard there on the left that was another preserved property.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if that's a private thing or if it's a non-profit.
I'm not sure.
Probably some kind of non-profit or foundation.
That guy back there had, like, you know how you get shadow silhouette signs for your yard?
Mm-hmm.
They had ones back there that either were guineas or turkeys that they had along their shed. It just caught my eye because I was like, is that a guinea? But it's a shadow. I've never seen that before.
Coming into Upper Black Eddy.
Remember the one time we were here and we had to turn around in a horrific thunderstorm coming the other way?
Oh yeah.
Because a tree fell across
Yep.
the road? That was fun.
We're actually going to go up over the canal here.
It was pouring cats and dogs that day. Like worse than it was earlier. There's the beautiful Delaware River.
Yep. So now we're between the canal and the river. And yes, it does flood here sometimes. The water has risen up above the road here in the past.
Yeah, this is the section of road I was referring to earlier when I mentioned that the one time that you tried to go to work and you turned around and the next day it flooded all through here. Let's see if we can see the bears. There's the two bears.
That might have been actually a different time that you're thinking of.
There was a few times it flooded though. I don't know where the third bear is.
That trip where I turned around, I think it was just bad luck. I got into a thunderstorm cell and I was pretty much traveling in the direction it was going.
Here comes the big Iron Gate Bridge to go across for the Delaware.
That's our bridge.
They don't make them like that anymore.
I don't know. It's one of the few bridges that you can get out of New Jersey on for free, which is another reason I like it.
Yeah, don't tell the coin counters that.
Yeah, I want to start putting tolls on this too.
Yeah.
When a friend of ours says you have to pay to get out of New Jersey, I didn't know that was literally true.
Yeah, I remember that. I thought she was joking.
If you want to cross the Hudson River, you go east, you got to pay, and if you want to cross the Delaware River and go west, you got to pay.
They get you each and every way. Here's where the eye care sign used to be up here on the right. It's called number 10 now. to Milford, the Canal House Station.
New Jersey.
Yes, Milford, New Jersey.
Every state has a Milford.
Yeah, there's one in Connecticut.
There's a New Milford. Is there a Milford too?
Maybe it is New Milford. I always just called it Milford. This place has a lot of cute shops and restaurants. I don't know where you park for it all.
There is some street parking.
Yeah, once that's full, there's not. I don't know. Maybe there's a public lot we don't know about. Milford Public Library.
County Route 619. Hunterdon County.
Looks like we're catching up to another rain cell. Up here on the right is where there used to be a Superfund site.
Yeah, there's actually a sign up here somewhere about EPA. Fortunately, we had too much traffic to be able to slow down and get a good look.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember, what was here that made it a Superfund site? I just remember there used to like be big buildings. that
Yeah,
they tore
I don't know
down.
if it was a trash processing plant or something else.
Yeah, I can't read the signs because they're like, you know how like the fence kind of like overlays the sign. It's kind of hard to read it when you're moving.
I guess it's something we should have looked up. We've gone by it so much over the years.
Yeah. Did you want to stretch your legs up here?
I'm good to keep going unless you want to.
All right. I'm good either way. I just know you didn't get out of the car when I did. So.
No, it's true. Exposed rock layers along the side here. Very red.
Yeah. We're gonna pass the main on the rock too at some point.
The beds aren't quite flat either, from what I can tell. They're inclined a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I noticed. Here they look more flat, but they're slightly raised.
I think they are slightly raised. They're slanted somewhat.
Time for shower number 2.
That may seal the deal on taking a break.
Yeah. There's a rock here on the corner. You guys won't be able to see it. It's raining
Oh yeah,
out.
where that car is.
But there's a rock that kind of, if you look at it just right, it looks like a man's face. And it's got some moss that, you know, once it starts growing, it kind of gets like a vine. It kind of looks like he's got very face.
The profile's better seen coming the other way.
For sure.
Frenchtown.
Looks like they might have an event up here.
Why do you say that?
It said watch out for toddlers crossing.
Oh, that's because of this daycare that's here.
Okay. I just don't remember the sign being there before.
They got the cop car permanently parked here to make it look like it's watching it.
Yeah. Yeah, look.
I'm okay with that to the extent that if I'm going to get a ticket from somebody, as long as it's a live human, I don't like it that machines are doing it.
Yeah, because that's kind of like China, where they just take it away from you.
Oh, we were jaywalking. We saw you on the camera.
Yep.
$50 fine.
Or anything dumb.
Yeah, where does it stop when you can do that?
It doesn't. It stops when whoever is in control of the reins, essentially. Oh, you didn't, wear the right color shirt or whatever. You were out of your house an hour longer than you should have. Or whatever. Whatever they make up. It's scary.
Like they did in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you can't go more than 2 kilometers from your house or whatever the rules were.
And you were limited on the amount of time, too.
Now, do we go right or left?
Left.
Depends how busy it is.
One guy here. Okay, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people down there. He's turning?
He's waving me on.
Alright, thanks. I didn't think he was gonna let us out. That's nice of him.
Best to not be in a hurry through Frenchtown. A lot of pedestrians, a lot of blind intersections. There's a nice stone home there.
Yeah. I like the pink trees.
I like stone homes.
They had little sculptures in the windows.
I grew up in a house, a stone home with really deep windowsills, and they were great for putting stuff like you're doing now with germinating tomatoes and other stuff, and putting them in the windowsills until they get big enough and it gets warm enough to put them outside.
I wish we had the deep windowsills at our house now.
And our cellar does.
I know, but I wish upstairs it did.
We have a stone foundation, but it stops at the top of the bottom of the first floor.
Yeah. I just feel like sitting in those windowsills as a kid probably would have been fun reading a book with natural light.
Our windowsills were pretty tall. I don't ever remember trying to get up into one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. As a kid, that windowsill was pretty tall.
I wasn't sure. I couldn't recall how tall they were.
Well, there was always curtains or something on them too, so that would have been.
Well, yeah.
Why my mom would have appreciated me climbing up into the windowsill.
Probably not.
But it never occurred to me to do that.
I just enjoy reading with natural light over artificial light. It's just so much easier in the eyes.
Oh yeah, that's one nice thing about going camping.
Yeah, you can read so much easier in natural light during the day.
When you don't have camp chores to do, you're all just relaxing.
True.
Good time to read.
When you're not doing the dishes or cleaning up from the night before or drying out from the dew.
Now this is my favorite stretch. the trip. This section of New Jersey Route 29. It's a nice highway, and it's very scenic.
And fairly flat.
You got the river on the right.
Canal on the right too.
Not yet. We're actually upstream of the canal.
Oh, I just saw a sign for it though, back there. Maybe they were just calling it a trail then.
Yeah, because there was the rail line. That's the trail.
It was a bright yellow sign. It said DNR Canal, but I couldn't read the rest of it. I don't know, what are they doing in there? Digging something up.
Yeah, they've been doing something. Looks like something's got to get built in there.
Bummer.
This road is huge compared to Pennsylvania roads, where you barely have. As you noticed, sometimes the white line's just missing because the pavement's gone.
Yeah.
Here you got an entire extra lane, which is really nice for bicycling if you don't want to be on the gravelly trail. A lot of cyclists just use the road.
Well, it's also nice, like if you're avoiding animals like deer or potholes, or as we call Pennsylvania Pottsylvania now. You gotta dodge them, and sometimes if there's not enough road, especially if you have oncoming traffic, it's like you're stuck.
They got it all posted now, all along this road, like no stopping, no standing.
I think it's because during tubing season, there was a lot of people that were just parking along here to go river tubing, and they didn't like that. So they decided to post all of it. Which is a shame.
Yeah, you look at all that, how much money they spend on this nice wide shoulder, and it hardly gets used.
Well, like you said, the bikers use it, but yeah.
Yeah, they do.
So
That would be what I would do if I was riding on this road.
make it the bike lane, essentially.
But the downside of that too, often the shoulder's full of debris.
Yeah.
You're riding on a really small tire. Doesn't take much to poke a hole in that thing.
I remember that happening once on the rail trail. One of us got a slow leak on our bike.
Yeah.
Don't know what it was that caused it, but like you said, small tire doesn't take much. The nice thing about the gravel path, though, is if you just want to get away from the cars completely, it's nice, it's scenic. You get more views of the river because you're closer.
Yeah, this one's pretty nice for that. We've ridden on it before, and we also walked some of it, so
Yeah.
you can say firsthand it is pretty scenic.
What I like is they have the different places that you can park, and then you could, like if you're working a group, you could have one car at one place, one car at another, start and go.
True.
But even if you don't, it's still nice. I like the rocks up here on the left with the cliffs. It's interesting.
I also sense that they're also tilted a little bit upward.
Yeah, we are. It's a little hard to see it. I don't know if that's lichen that's growing on some of the rocks, but something's growing on the rocks. Sometimes it's a little hard to tell.
Some more lightning.
Yeah, I feel like the weather dropped 10 degrees.
thunderstorm take 2.
Yeah. You know those bugs that we couldn't get off the windshield?
They're off now.
They might be scrubbed off now.
Man, the windshield so hard yesterday.
The sun was just evaporating the cleaning fluid so fast. I think visibility is very poor. Oh, there's some branches that are falling down. Another flash of lightning.
Just another April shower. How's that saying go?
April showers bring May flowers. It's more like April floods bring May mugs. Is what we called it. Because it just seems like you get a lot of rain.
Something called climate change, right?
Yeah.
I've asked a number of people who are older, like I am. It's like, do you remember back when they were saying there was going to be a new ice age? And everybody that I've talked to about that has said, yeah, I remember that. That used to be a thing. Yeah, we're going to have another ice age.
I remember my history teacher saying that in 7th
Yeah.
grade. Like, there's gonna be a new ice age, but I won't be around to have to deal with it. I'm like, thanks.
And I think where that came from was that, supposedly we've had four glaciation cycles, and the glaciers melted out and then they came back. That went back and forth a few times. So that there's been, in relatively modern times, there's been 4 glacial cycles and then 4 retreats. And some speculate, we've been in a warming trend now for almost 25,000 years. So, that's if you believe in the long time theory of the world. 25,000 years, it's been warming. So we're kind of like due for another glacial period. So, the weather would trend colder or wetter, and people would say, the ice age is gonna be coming. And we've had these mini ice ages in the past as well. So that's kind of where that came from. But I think it was based on very little data, other than the historical records suggesting that if things continue in that repetitive fashion, we might be due for another one soon. Then it all seemed to change when we got warmer weather in the early 80s. That seemed to be when this whole global warming thing started to kick in.
What's in the road up here?
I don't know what's in the road. Somebody pulling something? Pushing a cart.
Why are they pushing a cart?
I'm guessing that's his house.
Wow.
Well, one good use of a wide shoulder on the road, you can push your entire life's savings and worth with you.
It looks kind of like a hotel cleaning part.
Yeah. That is a first along here.
At first I thought maybe it was like a horse and buggy, but I'm like, it looks kind of weird to be a horse and buggy.
Yeah, I was just talking to somebody this week. It sounds like he's pretty much believing there's global warming. He's saying how hot it was last summer. And he does a lot of outdoor work, so I kind of figure it's just, to me it feels hotter because I'm just getting older. And how much of that is your own personal bias, just because as you get older you feel like, oh, it's hotter or more humid. Stuff that didn't bother you when you were a kid.
I mean, I notice it now, and I'm not that old, that I don't like it anymore.
I remember going on vacation in the Poconos, and it was hotter and more humid. And I guess I didn't care for it, but it wasn't that bad. I guess because I had a nice cool house to go into when I got too hot. So those old stone homes, they tended to be cooler. So I remember it getting quite stuffy in the middle of the summer.
Well, it's kind of like our barn. It stays cooler in the barn compared to the house.
Yeah, downstairs.
Yeah.
It helps if the north side of that is underground.
Take around 3.
on the inside?
Yeah, some of it, I think, is. It's a little bit of both, I think. Look at this, it's all flooded along the road.
Yeah, this town has been damaged with Delaware River flooding as well. It's all the upstream development. There's a lot more runoff.
Yeah, people don't realize how much you need the wetlands and the grasslands to absorb water during rains. People think, oh, it's just a waste of space having this marshy area. It's like, exactly, ecologically, it helps absorb that water.
This is the thing that I don't understand about so-called progressives or Democrats. And I'm not putting everybody in the same box, but I know there's a lot more people that are probably pro-environment that have progressive views. not to say conservatives don't care about the environment too, but it seems like it's a bigger issue on the Democrat side. You know, we care about the environment, you know, green energy, all that. Yet, it's the party that advocates for endless immigration. And where do you expect these people to live? They take up space. They need more land. So you have to create more housing. More people, you know, require more services. So everything has to grow to accommodate the increased population. And so we keep infringing on nature to do that.
Which is causing problems like flooding.
So how can you say you're pro-environment and be pro-immigration? You know, to me, they're mutually exclusive options. Maybe that's why they want to imprison everybody in a 15-minute city. That's their solution. We can just have infinite people as long as we cram everybody into a small space. And this 15-minute city idea, I don't think that's anything new. I remember going back maybe 10, 20 years already that there were visions of the world as, you know, people lived in big cities, you know, separated by essentially wilderness.
I'm pretty sure there's sci-fi movies about it too. Like futuristic cities and stuff like that. Hey, that looks like our car.
Oh.
It's a Toyota Camry, same color.
Maybe. I was too busy looking at the foggy window.
Yeah.
100% humidity outside.
Ah, a bright patch.
Now there's a canal right next to us. This is the DNR Canal on the right. But on the other side of the coin, I'm not advocating for mass depopulation of the world either.
No.
But that seems to be the only way you're going to achieve the goal of all this environmentalism.
The other thing I don't understand too with the Democrats is, like, if they're for the environment and stuff, why are they not for clean water? Like, why?
Well, they are.
Well, no, they're not. I mean, we were just watching some stuff the other day about, you know, cobalt mines and the different mines and stuff that they do for minerals and stuff, and they put all this dirty water back into the communities.
Oh, I see. With the extraction of the cobalt to make the cobalt's used is it in the lithium batteries? It's
yeah, anything that's like electric car kind of stuff.
Which is they use a lot of lithium batteries for an electric car.
If they're all for the green energy and electric cars, then why are they letting these people pollute the water? Not to mention the slave labor and all that, and the child labor. Like, if it's just focusing on the environment, why are you putting dirty water back out from these mines? It's like they don't really seem to care. It seems to be they care when it's convenient and when it's profitable to care. It's like, don't look under the rug, you know?
I don't know. It's an interesting thing. It's like we're in love with the concept and we want to push this agenda, but we don't really want to take a hard look at what it really involves to do this. That it does really involve people digging cobalt out of the ground with their hands.
Yeah.
And creating all of this water pollution with contaminated water from the refining process.
And it's not just cobalt. There's other stuff for solar panels. I forget what the minerals and stuff are, but I've heard the same thing and seen videos where they're putting back this nasty looking water.
Yeah, I'd like to know more about that. I have heard that the manufacturing process is pretty dirty for making solar panels. And I look at it, I've always been fascinated by solar energy. I remember getting this little round solar cell. It was like, I don't know, a few inches, like 4 inches maybe in diameter. It was pretty big. And it cost a small fortune getting that back in, say, the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
And, you know, it couldn't do much. It was a half a volt and half an amp. But the potential was there. But I had no idea what was involved with making it, other than I'd actually seen crystals being grown, the silicon crystals.
Oh, wow.
I remember getting a tour, I think it was Western Electric Company, which was a research division of the telephone company. And they were showing how they made the silicon for the chips, for the various integrated circuits and such at the time. Now, they basically grew a silicon crystal. They spun it out of this vat of molten silicon.
Oh, wow. That sounds fascinating. Like, I think solar panels are cool and all, but I just wonder if they're really realistic to use, because what do you do with them when they no longer work? What do you do with solar or wind turbines? You know, like, I hear these stories and see, you know, articles out there showing these turbines, like, they have to bury the blades. Like, is that really good for the environment? It's just, I don't know.
We're not really talking sustainability if you have to create garbage.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
So is it really just a big ruse to shovel money into preferred people's pockets?
I always say follow the money.
You know, like there's a lot of interest in solar farms out where we live now, because there's still a fair amount of farmland, and
they're being subsidized.
Yeah, they're being subsidized with this so-called Inflation Reduction Act. We're basically shoveling money into these solar energy companies, and they're not even denying it in the letters that they send out. They say, you know, due to the Inflation Reduction Act, these projects, you know, that were formerly not economical are now economical, and we're looking to do it.
Which makes you want to ask the question is, once that funding goes away, then what? No one wants to answer that. You know? Like, once the funding to make it, quote, economical right now is gone, it's going to be no longer economical. And also, what do you do with all that waste? Wow.
It's okay.
Okay. I just thought he should have waited.
He should have, but it was all right. I wasn't going that fast. Some people hit the gas when they see that in front of them.
Yeah.
It's like, no. I'd rather just not have an accident.
Yeah, for sure.
People make mistakes.
What is our current mileage on the car? We did hit a big milestone recently.
Yeah, we hit 450,000.
So what are we up to now?
451, 844.
Yeah, it's amazing. And that's the reason why we jokingly say when we see things that people do on the roads, like, that's a reason not to buy a used car. Because so many times people will do silly things. Like the one time we were coming back from Lehighton, going up to one really big mountain, and a guy decided to pass us on the steepest part of the hill, and his engine backfired. Not once, but like 2 or 3 times. That one time he had flames coming out of his exhaust pipe, which was
it was at night. It looked kind of cool.
It looked cool at night, but it was also kind of scary. Like the first time it went off, it sounded like a gunshot. I've never heard of engine backfire before. It just startled me. I was like, 'cause it was late. I just wasn't expecting that when the guy passed. And then he smelled it too. It just smelled horrible. It's like, oh, that's reason, 804 for why you shouldn't buy a used car. You just don't know what people did with it. Because this car, your mom bought new. So it's been in the family.
Yeah.
It's been very, very reliable. A nice Toyota Camry. 2000. Celebrating its 23rd birthday in July. I seem to remember he bought it in July.
It doesn't seem like an old car to me.
It doesn't. We've kept it in good shape though. Keep it in the garage, so that helps, so it doesn't get all the rust on the bottom. The paint still looks really, really good too.
Yeah, having a garage makes such a difference.
Hey, the sun's back out. And the guy's mowing his grass.
Maybe it never even rained here.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me when our guineas were babies and they'd have what we called the 10-minute days, where they were like awake for 10 minutes, doing their thing, eating, scratching around, drinking, and then playing, and then the next 10 minutes to 20 minutes they're zonked out at nap time.
That was like Minecraft, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it was like a 20-minute day in Minecraft.
Yeah, I think so. It's just funny. And it was really funny with the baby guineas, which are called Keats, is sometimes they literally just fall over and fall asleep. Because it was one of the things I had researched was, like, don't be afraid if it looks like your baby bird died, because they just fall over and sleep. It's just what they do when they're babies. They don't really care how they're sleeping. It's kind of like a little kid, they can almost sleep anywhere, including on the floor. Like, it just doesn't matter. They're out. So, it was definitely an interesting experience. I remember when we first gave them their mirror, because you were like, I don't know if they'll go for it, and they were really fascinated by it. But what was really funny was when my brother put like an old iPad in there with like a bug app.
With the ants crawling around on the screen?
Yeah, with the ants and stuff crawling on, and the beetles crawling on the screen. They went berserk for it. They were having a blast.
Good training tool.
Yeah, because I just remember we were both sitting on buckets out on the porch to like watch them, and we almost fell off because we were laughing so hard. They were just having so much fun. And they were like fighting over it too. Like they were trying to jump over each other to go for them when they crawl up the screen. It was really funny. But even when we have them outside with the big mirror, they like talking to their reflections. Yeah, I haven't seen any comments lately. I think service might have dropped out a little bit.
This is a bad stretch for T-Mobile, I know that.
Yeah.
Scenic stretch, though.
I'm running on dry. So far, it's held up except for the known Verizon issues. Which is like that section outside of Hellertown. Like that's a notorious spot where there's no service for anywhere.
It might be worthwhile upgrading our modem.
Is that an option?
Well, you have to get another one.
Wow. I wondered if there was like a way.
And then you e-cycle the old one. You know what that means, right?
No, I don't.
Well, it means it ends up on some pile of garbage somewhere that in a third world country where they scavenge through it to
Get parts out of
pick
it?
out the parts for money.
I always wondered how that works. I saw at Lowe's, the last time we were at Lowe's, they had a light bulb recycling receptacle for certain light bulbs.
See, where does that stuff really go? If we really cared about these things, we'd check into that.
I've seen stuff back in the day where they show where like all this trash ends up overseas, where they're like going through like old flip-flops.
Yeah, this is exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, like it's weird.
You've seen the videos where there's like acres of dead, remember the old tube monitors for computers?
Oh yeah, yeah. Computer shells.
You have all these different materials in these things, and how do you recycle all that stuff?
I don't know.
It's almost impossible.
That's why I wonder about the windmills, like the wind turbines. Like, what do you do with that? Like, they don't last that long.
Like, what happens to the lithium in the old lithium batteries? Because eventually they go bad.
Yeah.
How many times has a lithium battery gone bad in your phone?
Well, if I was playing Pokemon Go, I could probably ruin one in a year. Because it would get
I got
really
this
hot.
small crate of dead lithium batteries. Look, what do I do with this? And how do they recycle the lithium?
Wow, they put homemade deer crossing signs in their yard.
Yeah.
Yeah, to warn people. Neon yellow. I guess they've had incidents where people have hit them.
So they already say there's not enough resources to give everybody an electric car.
Well, talking to our friend who works in the, power industry, he said you cannot hook up everybody to the grid with like the charging stuff for an electric car, he's like, they'll blow breakers.
Yeah, so it leads you to, there's a couple things that you could conclude, right? There's one thing you could conclude is that the politicians that are pushing for all of this are that stupid, which is a possible conclusion, right? They could be that stupid.
Yeah.
Or two, they know that it's not possible and they're just playing a game. And the game is really something like, you're just not going to have a car. We're not going to allow gas cars, but we can't make enough electric cars because there's not enough resources. So you just will do without a car.
Well, there's actually, I don't remember if it's Europe or if it's a specific country overseas, but over in that general region, they actually have passed some kind of regulation that they want to have no more, petrol cars. I forget what the year, if it's like 2033 or something. No more gas-powered cars. That you wouldn't be able to buy them, which I think is crazy. Because here's a classic example that people bring up is, let's say you live in Florida, right? And you got an electric car. Let's say there's a hurricane coming and you have to evacuate. What do you do? Your electric car can only go so many miles before it needs a recharge. But if the hurricane affects, hundreds of miles, you're going to be stranded. Whereas if you have a gas car, you can, put some gas tanks in your, trunk, and if you need to, you can put them in your gas tank and continue driving or go to a gas station. With electric car, you're screwed. If you can't charge, you're done. I mean, I'm sure we've all seen this, where you see an electric car on the side of the road and they got like a gas generator or a diesel generator literally charging the car. It's crazy, but I've seen stuff where people are doing that because they don't have a choice.
Well, it's interesting. Where does the electricity come to charge the electric car?
I think I've shown you the cartoon where they show you where that goes, and it goes back to a coal power plant.
Coal-fired power plant somewhere, right?
Yeah. It's like, you need something to make electricity.
Oh, no, we can't have coal, right? Coal's dirty, so we get rid of coal. So what do we use? Natural gas?
I don't know.
All of a sudden, natural gas is a bad thing? Remember when natural gas was being... No, you wouldn't remember. But natural gas used to be promoted as the transition fuel.
Supposed to be clean energy, as they were calling it.
To migrate from fossil fuels to cleaner, renewable fuels. Natural gas was how it was going to happen. That was how it was going to... We were going to get there via natural gas because it was less dirty than coal. And, a lot less CO2 emission when you burn natural gas versus any other fuel. So, there's a lot of natural gas. That's the way to go. We can cut down to some of the dirtier products as we go. And now, what? We want to burn gas stoves?
They want to get rid of gas stoves.
Why? Why would you do that?
Well, my hypothesis is, I know I always like to use the word theory, but my hypothesis is that people are probably getting lobbying money from these green companies. So they're spending a lot of dollars to get the lobbying in Washington and such.
Is there actually a reason, the EPA or whoever, are they actually saying why we were getting rid of gas stoves?
Well, they were claiming that it was causing asthma. Now, I don't know how they got that claim. They were also claiming something else, but I don't remember what the other thing was. It was something ridiculous. George says, that's when we're all forced into crime-ridden mass transit. Suddenly now we're subject to things like forced masking and possibly worse. You're right, George. That's with the whole 15-minute city thing. They're trying to control everything about your life. People don't realize that's what they're pushing for. There's videos out there in China where they show people they can't get into a train station without scanning a code on their phone and then having their face scanned. And I've even seen stuff where people are on bikes and they got to get their face and everything scanned before they can get through on their bicycle.
That's the social credit score system.
It's scary. It's just scary.
You're a bad boy in China and you can't ride public transit.
Well, there was this lady on a bike too, so apparently you can't even ride certain places on your bike without going through checkpoints.
Ah.
And then that's what they wanted to do in the UK, was have like these checkpoints for the different areas of the region. And it's like, what if your friends and stuff, family live in a different region? They're going to limit how often you could go to the different regions. It's control. It's all about control. It's not about health, safety, or being better for the environment, or whatever else they're trying to sell it as. I remember there was a little girl standing up in the UK talking about it, saying her friend would live in a different region, and they would say, no, you can walk home at night after being at your friend's house, because normally her parents would pick her up in their car and drive her home, because they want to get rid of cars. And they're like, well, you can walk home, it'll be safe. And she's like, how is it safe? Well, we'll be watching you because we'll have cameras everywhere. It's like, that's not going to stop somebody from doing something bad to her on the way home. And that's basically what she was saying. That she wouldn't feel safe. Not to mention, who wants to be on camera all the time? It's an invasion of privacy.
And good luck if you live in a city where your district attorney has been bought and paid for by George Soros and his black money organizations, where crime is allowed to run rampant.
Yeah. I mean, you can look at New York. Like, there was a mother who lost her son. He was murdered, and the DA basically let the people, not get charged. Like, how can you do that? It's just wrong.
Isn't in New York where there was somebody that did an election meme about Hillary Clinton, and they got prosecuted for it?
They're going
they
after
rigged up
memes
some
now.
They rigged up a charge, like election interference.
I don't know what the charge was, but
So
I
if you
did
criticize
hear
the
about
opposition, you're interfering with the election. Or shall I be more specific? If you criticize the Democrat candidate, you are engaging in election interference.
it. Yeah, that was crazy. I heard about that. That's just insane. Memes are just jokes.
This is the problem with a totalitarian state where there's one-party rule.
Yep. I feel like it's more of a uniparty, though. Like, it's not just Democrats. It's all over the board. It's independents, Republicans. It's all of them. Like, they all suck.
Why aren't the Republicans in the House pushing, against bad ethical conduct harder than they do?
Yeah. Oh, there's another flash.
I mean, it was good to finally see that Schiff got removed from having any kind of committee responsibility.
Yeah, that was good.
I mean, that guy ought to be booted out of Congress. Why are we tolerating that?
That shouldn't be allowed. I don't know what the answer is to fix it.
But that's what when you refer to the uniparty, that is part of the problem.
Yeah. And also you got these people that are in politics as a career, which politics shouldn't be a career, in my opinion. It should be, you get in, you serve a term or two, and you're done. These people that have been there for 30, 40, gosh knows years, they need to go.
I think I'm willing to cut some slack on that, but you really have to be critical. If somebody's been serving long term and they really are doing good things, then maybe that's okay.
Can you name one person who's been serving long term that's actually done good things that long term?
Depends on how you define long term. I would say somebody like
greater than 8 years.
Well, given that Senate seats are 6 years.
Okay, so it would be 12. Okay, 2 terms would be 12.
I would say Senator Johnson might be one that I would put in that category.
Yeah.
He's serving his 3rd term now in the U.S. Senate from Wisconsin.
I know he said he wasn't going to run for a 3rd term, but with everything the last few years, he's like, I got to stand up for the people that don't have a voice.
I think maybe you're right in the long run that would be the way it should be, but if we've got some champions there that have been, like Ron Johnson, who's been there 12 years, we got to keep those people in as long as they're doing good things.
George says that was Doug McKee. I think it's McKee or Macri. I can't read it quite sure. He says he's the one who posted the meme about Election Day and got in trouble. He's like, what about Rand Paul? Yeah, Rand Paul would be another one.
Yeah, and Rand, he's a mixed bag, I think, on some things too.
Yeah. I think like with any politician though, you're not going to like everything.
Well,
they
that's
do.
the thing too. They're not always. That's the beauty of our republic, right? You get somebody that's in there as your representative, and
I mean, Rand Paul still thinks the vaccines are a good thing for COVID.
yeah.
Which I disagree with him on. But he's against mandates, so I agree with him
And
on
I
that.
think he doesn't deny that there are side effects either. So
Yeah. He agrees it should be a person's choice, which is good. And then believes in natural immunity.
I mean, yeah, Kentucky has to replace Mitch McConnell.
Yeah.
Keep
I
Rand-
heard he might be resigning because he had that fall in the Trump hotel and got a really bad concussion. That there's rumors that he's maybe resigning because of that.
Unfortunately, a lot of us supported McConnell because we were hoping Trump would win re-election, and that would help us with keep having a Senate majority. But it's turned out to be,
Awful.
yeah, McConnell needed to go.
Yeah. The problem is we don't have enough patriots that want to run for office.
Lindsey Graham needed to go too.
I mean, we were talking with one of our friends, and he complains about everything that's going on, but he wants nothing to do with politics. It's like, you're not going to change it unless you get involved. That's why we joined, our local committee, and I'm actually officially a committee woman. So we can actually, help get candidates on the ballot, do petition signing, get candidates on the ballot, help with campaigns, and maybe eventually run for office once we learn more.
Yeah, we're finding that there's a battle on every front.
Yeah.
In our own county, we have two incumbent Republican county commissioners. We have 3 people that serve on our county commissioner board. They're essentially the executive for the county, and one is Democrat, 2 are Republican, and the Republicans are rhinos.
Yep.
They have a deaf ear towards any of the election irregularities that we experienced.
For those that are not aware, Scott and I are involved with a lawsuit in Pennsylvania over the elections in November of 2022 that's actually has the possibility to go to the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. It's waiting to be decided on whether or not they'll hear our case. But since there's 2 conflicting opinions in the Commonwealth Court on the same grounds that we have in our lawsuit, odds are high that our case will go in front of the Supreme Court in PA, which is exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time. George says if McConnell resigns and Kentucky has a Democratic governor who will appoint his temporary replacement,
Oh,
which
really?
may be
That'll be bad.
worth it to finally get rid of Mitch.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's a toss-up. I mean, he's been so bad that I don't know. But sometimes replacements can be worse than the original person. I mean, look at New York, the governor of New York. The whole Cuomo scandal, and then I remember specifically Michael Savage saying, the replacement could be worse than the current one, and it turns out Kathy Hochul was horrific,
Oh, she is horrific.
and she's just awful.
She's one that wanted the COVID camps.
Yep.
She wanted to do the Australia-style COVID camps for New Yorkers.
And be able to just take people away from families. It's like another thunderstorm.
Yeah.
But like you said, with going local, like our schools have a lot of issues. It's not just DRT, it's the gender stuff, the sexually explicit material in schools, books, trying to turn all the kids into activists.
And we had some Republicans on the board that voted for that stuff. They went along with it.
Yeah, so we're trying to replace the rhinos and get rid of the Democrat incumbents that are okay with these sexually explicit books in our schools. Another book that we've been fighting in the school is a climate book that's written by someone who has no science degree whatsoever and is very politically oriented in how they write the book.
It's a fictional book.
Yeah. And it's very explicit. Like, it talks about 4 events. One's wildfires, one's a hurricane. I forget what the other ones are, but they graphically depict people dying. And I just don't think that's appropriate for kids in middle school to be reading. forced to read it as a whole entire school. And the other thing with our school board is with the sexually explicit books is the Democrats voted against some of them voted against wanting a parental permission slip to check those books out. We did finally win that though.
Did we?
Yeah, the flaky rhino voted for it, I guess.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, because we ended up getting the majority on it. The books are still there.
But now you need there's at least a permission slip between the book and the kid?
Yeah. Whether or not they're enforcing it is a whole other story. Who knows? The reason I say that is just the other day I found out that the author of that climate book, they had him on a Zoom thing in front of the school and didn't notify parents until the 12th hour that the thing was going to go on, which got a lot of people up in arms. A lot of parents don't want their kids being taught this guy's view of climate change. They're basically trying to figure out how humans are destroying the planet. You got to do something. We got 2 kids on the license right now.
I bet they're having fun.
Yeah. Let me put this one.
I guess once you get completely soaked,
Yeah, the lightning's wicked though.
I think at least for some of us, the issue is how this been politicized. I think we don't want to have our kids sexualized by the school or politicized.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this whole climate issue has become a political football.
It's kind of like COVID. COVID became a political football.
You know, not revealed through the pandemic. I think you can just say that that's true across all these political arguments now.
Yep.
Maybe some people were already aware of that, but a lot more people see it now.
Well, you also got to look at all the studies, like all the studies of COVID and everything else.
How the scientific bias is there.
Yeah. Well,
You basically do a study. You know what the outcome is for the study that you want to achieve. Okay, how do I get this result? How do I design a study that's going to give me the answer I want?
This industry is basically funding the study. And that's happening in these other studies. It's happening, you know, and I'm sure it's happening in climate studies as well.
Yeah, so all of that stuff is now suspect.
Like, you can't trust any of it. You got to look at the conflict of interest.
And it's really a drag. You know, I kind of come from a scientific background, believing in, you know, you did science, you're trying to find truth.
And I think some people are still like that. It's just there's not enough of you.
It's like, well, you know, truth has been politicized, apparently. So you can't trust the scientific research on anything that involves a political outcome. Who would have thought a pandemic would be a political thing? How deep does the rabbit hole really go? How planned was it really?
Well, if you watch Plandemic by Mickey Lewis, you'll really see how he had all the patents on the testing.
There were moves to make hydroxychloroquine unavailable before we even had our lockdowns.
Yep. It used to be readily available in many countries over the counter, and they made changes in the fall of 2019 and early 2020 to make it inaccessible without either a doctor's note or just completely inaccessible, period.
That's what they did in France, I know.
Yeah, France was one of
place.
them. I believe Canada was another country that you could get it fairly easily, but then they made it hard.
And then the arson fire of the hydroxychloroquine plant in Taiwan.
Yep, I totally think that was intentional.
Well, that's why I call it arson.
Yeah, and then you had the stuff, was it South Africa, where they basically were stealing it and then they burned it.
They were doing that in Africa. Yeah. They were collecting it.
Yep, collecting it and destroying it. Which is crazy, because Africa uses it for protecting their population from common illnesses that aren't prevalent here in the United States. Like malaria.
When you look at the per capita death rate, I think in the United States it's about 2,000 per million, which is one of the worst outcomes in the world.
Yep.
Yet we put Fauci on a pedestal like he was some big hero. He was one of the biggest failures.
He needs to be one of the
If you look at the statistics across the world, you know the countries that did the best? You probably do.
Sweden.
No, they didn't do all that great.
Africa is the ones that
Yeah.
did the best.
Africa, the place where you figure, that's probably going to be the worst, right? Because they have the worst health care.
They did the best because they take hydroxychloroquine every Sunday to prevent themselves from getting sick.
And they also have ivermectin.
Yep, and they take that to help prevent river blindness, which is a very common issue down there. And they sometimes call it hydroxychloroquine Sunday or ivermectin Sunday because they usually take it once a week.
Is that right?
Yeah, I saw that in a documentary I watched.
Is that where that came from? I had heard about it before.
Yeah.
Because you don't need to take it all the time.
No, it's one of those things you only have to do it like once a week, as long as it's based on the ivermectin's based on your weight, whereas the hydroxychloroquine's not based on weight.
So how do you explain that? That Africa did so well with COVID.
Well, I would also say vitamin D. I'd say they have a lot more vitamin D than us Americans.
Yeah.
Because us Americans, we go in our offices and lock our doors and basically don't get any sunshine. Because in order to get vitamin D, you got to go out, in the main part of the day and have your skin exposed. Well, we're always, dressed up fancy to go to work, so you don't have your skin exposed.
You're not working outside unless you're in one of the trades where that's your daily job.
And we tend to eat not very good foods. A lot of foods that just.
It'd be interesting if there were any statistics out there, like how did people that worked out there, like the folks that work on the highways or building construction that
Well, the thing is, they
outdoor
closed all that
jobs.
down during COVID.
That's true, they did.
Because remember, we've been dealing with construction where we live for 78 with rebuilding for the climbing lanes, and they shut it all down.
You're right,
So
they did shut a lot of it down for a while.
basically, they had no job. George says, and they get tons of sunlight for vitamin D instead of forcing people for lockdowns in their apartments in urban areas.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
remember they closed the beaches?
they closed the parks.
Probably the
parks,
best
too.
place you could have gone would have been the beach, right?
Yeah,
you would
because
have
you got the
gotten sun.
salty air.
You had all the fresh air.
Yeah.
They closed down the beach.
Oh, I forgot they put a roundabout in up here.
Yeah, you haven't gone this way in a while.
No, I did come the last time, but I just totally forgot it's here.
Yeah.
All those things. Well, there's a park in here. Greenway Meadows. We should stop there sometime.
I haven't noticed. I'm too busy navigating the circle most of the time.
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
facilities and stuff too, which is cool. Soccer things. Play soccer. Yeah, so they have vitamin D, and so that definitely helps because they showed that those that had good vitamin D levels had less severe outcomes. And I'll say from personal experience, I can attest that that's probably correct because my vitamin D was in the dumpster. I only had 12 point something, and normally you want to be up around 80 to try to avoid getting sick. So my vitamin D was horrific. And that was blood work I had 2 days before I ended up in the ER with COVID. My doctor sent me there. I really didn't want to go, but I was just struggling to breathe and I didn't feel good at all. So I was like, I guess I'll go to urgent care. And then they freaked out because they're like, oh, we think you have blood clots. We want to ambulance you. And I'm like, no, you are not ambulancing me.
That was the only thing they had right, as it turned out.
I know. The urgent care got it right. The urgent care people got it right. The ER sucked.
Well, the ER was focused on cleaning out the ER for COVID patients,
Yep.
remember?
Yep. My D-dimer came back, which is a sign for like whether or not you have blood clots or not.
They threw the baby out with the bathwater in your case.
Yeah, and the little kid next door to me too that was having asthma attacks.
Which probably turned out to be the best.
Oh yeah,
For you.
Looking back on it, it probably saved my life, honestly.
Who knows what kind of terrible things they would have done to you.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't know. They didn't know what they were doing.
They didn't know I had COVID. They tried to blame all my symptoms on GI issues.
But they wouldn't have treated you the proper way anyway.
No, they wouldn't even do the tests to rule out the blood clots in my extremities.
The hospitals are still not treating people properly.
No, the hospitals are murdering.
Are they still getting the COVID payouts?
I don't know if they're still getting the COVID payouts, but I know they're still using remdesivir.
I just wonder if that goes away with the Emergency Act. Did that actually go away
Yeah,
yet?
he finally signed it. He signed it a day early. Quote unquote.
I thought he was dragging his feet till May, but it was April that he was going to get rid of it. But somehow the EUA is still in effect.
Well, the EUA should have been reversed for all the vaccines or shots, whatever you want to call them. But somehow they're still around. I don't know how he's doing that legally. But yeah, as for the COVID money for the hospitals, I don't know the current status on that. That's something I'd love to ask someone like Steve Kirsch or McCullough, Dr. Peter McCullough, or Malone, Dr. Malone. We're going to have the great opportunity to see Dr. Peter McCullough in June, on June 9th. He's coming to Pennsylvania. Lions for Liberty, which we're both members of, is hosting an event on June 9th at 12 p.m. Dr. Peter McCullough will be there, Steve Kirsch, who has a PhD, and also Attorney Tom Renz will be there.
I mentioned earlier that Steve Kirsch is the inventor of the optical mouse.
Yeah, I didn't know that until I read that the one day.
How would you like to meet somebody that invented something that you use every day?
Yeah, that's just really cool. All three of them are heroes in my eyes with everything they've done with COVID, waking people up. Especially Attorney Tom Renz fighting in the court system to help patients and people injured.
He's got a Substack, doesn't he?
Yeah, they all do.
That's definitely worth checking into. Substack for what a lot of these people are writing.
Yeah, Dr. McCullough has a book as well. Steve Kirsch does not have a book as far as I know. I don't think Attorney Tom Renz does either. I know Attorney Tom Renz has been doing he's a lawyer, so he's been doing a lot of pro bono work to help people that are injured, especially our military servicemen and women that have been injured. George says all three of those guys are awesome. I follow Steve Kirsch and McCullough on Substack. Yeah, I liked both of them.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
If you want to go to the event, it's in Hershey-Harrisburg area. It's in Grantville, PA. You can buy tickets. But if you prefer to do the old-fashioned method with writing a check, you can join Lions for Liberty and send them a note saying that you signed up. And they'll give you a 15% discount, and you can mail them a check, which allows you to avoid the Eventbrite fees, which you'd have to pay if you did it online.
We're in Princeton, by the way. The land of wokeism.
Yeah. Let's see how many people don't have masks on today. It kind of reminds me of when Nancy said that she and her friends, when they were kids, they'd count crows in the car. My favorite sport is to count.
Well, I haven't seen any.
Well, it might be because it's raining.
But I've been focusing on where I'm driving. Although here and I saw a couple people.
Yeah.
Folk
Yeah.
that are the ones that are most scared.
Oh, I saw one down on the side path.
You saw one.
Yeah, it looked like an Asian lady.
It's like bird counting. Like, how many robins have you seen?
Yeah. We've had one robin in our yard. Only seen one so far. But yeah, people might not be out right now with the thunderstorms. Don't blame them if they aren't.
Well, I guess we should.
And life, like taxes in your garden and waking people up. So
Yeah, keep fighting.
yep.
They don't want us to, but
George says, Kirsch offered someone sitting next to him on a plane $100K to take off his mask, and the fool declined. Yeah, I heard about that. He offered someone else another $100K to debate him about masks, and I don't know if the guy's replied yet, but it's great.
I would have put one on and sat beside him to get that offer.
Yeah, but yeah, it's funny.
I would have pretended I was scared. For 100,000, no problem.
Yeah. It's
Wow.
It's insane. People are just have bought the fear porn so bad that they just can't help themselves.
Man, can you imagine what we could do with $100,000? I know it doesn't go as far as it used to.
I could do a lot. I mean, you could wake a lot of people up with $100,000. For sure.
Oh, we both could have squeezed through.
It's a narrow street.
It is
so.
very narrow street, yeah.
All right, George, we'll have to catch you next time. We gotta get some work done. But it was good chatting with everybody. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, because stream on the way home because events and grassroots events. So we appreciate it. It helps us get better gear, which is always expensive. So appreciate all the donations we've received so far, and we'll catch you next time. Have a great night.